Hello and welcome to Life I Design, the podcast, where we explore the art and science of crafting a life that truly reflects who you are and who you want to become. I'm Nicki Traikos, author, educator, and artist, and your guide on this journey of intentional living, art, entrepreneurship, and personal growth. In each episode, we dive into thought-provoking conversations while I bring in experts, innovators, and everyday people who are redefining what it means to live a fulfilling and purpose-driven life. From mastering mindset and setting meaningful goals to embracing creativity and overcoming obstacles, we cover it all to help you design a life that is uniquely yours. Whether you're looking to make a major life change or simply seeking inspiration to enhance your daily routine, Life I Design is here to provide you with the tools, insights, and motivation you need to start building the life you've always dreamed of. So get ready to challenge your thinking, ignite your passion, and take actionable steps toward a life you love. Let's embark on this transformative journey together. Thank you for tuning in. Now let's get started with today's episode. Hello and welcome back to Life I Design, the podcast, where we'll explore how to craft a life that aligns with your creativity, passions, and dreams. I'm Nicki, and today we're diving into a topic that many new artists ask themselves. How do I know that my art is ready to sell? Whether you've been creating art for years or you're just dabbling or starting your artistic passions, knowing when and how to take the step from creating art for yourself to selling your artwork can be both exciting and daunting. In this episode, I'll unpack the key signs that indicate you're ready to make this leap, and I'll even offer some practical advice on how to approach the process. First, a little story time. I remember showing my art for the very first time. I had joined an in-person mixed media art class at my local community gallery, and each year the group hosted a collective art show and sale that was open to everyone who was a student of this particular artist instructor. I just started Life I Design, and I was navigating what making a living from my art would look like. So I was taking art classes and setting up my website and starting to offer my art to sell. So when I heard about this show, I was excited and I said yes immediately. And I said yes without really thinking about the process and what I was actually saying yes to. So when the reality kicked in of the fact that I was going to hang my art in a gallery space for the public to witness, to critique it, and to maybe look at it and think, oh, that kind of sucks. Isn't that awful that as new artists, we always think the worst of our work and how it's going to be received? Doing some inner work over the years, and that's something I'll talk a little bit about in a few episodes that are coming up. But I've learned to flip the switch and celebrate being more positive about my artwork. But back then, I was filled with lots of self-doubt as an artist. I was scared that my art wasn't good enough to show or sell. And that meant I wasn't good enough as an artist. Again, going back to thinking about the worst and being very self-critical of our talent, our art, and not realizing that there are many people who envy artists and the work that they produce and really value the work that we make. So I decided to help hang the show, and I invited friends and family to come join and to witness the hanging of my first ever public sharing of what I birthed from my imagination with my limited painting experience and see the art piece that I was showing for the very first time. Well, I'm thrilled to share that it ended up being a fantastic show. I had some very positive comments about my artwork, and that piece still hangs proudly in my husband's office because he loved it so much. I decided I would gift it to him. I think it was around his birthday at that time too. So funny enough, though, other people wanted to buy it, but I had listed it as NFS, which is an acronym for not for sale, because I knew my husband liked it so much. But thinking back when I was thinking about this episode, I probably did it as a way to protect my feelings too, just in case no one liked it or wanted to buy it. So maybe you're listening to this and you can relate to some of the feelings that I had around showing my work and selling it. And I think those are really common self doubts and things that we'll chat about throughout this episode. But just to finish off my story about my very first piece, it was a mixed media piece of a rooster that had lots of layers, lots of my favorite blue colors, and even a little crown. It's such a fun piece and one that I am glad we held on to because since then there have been many more shows that I participated in, many more pieces of art that I did sell, and even some that I didn't sell, some that didn't do well. And I'm totally okay with that. If you've taken any of my classes, you know that I'm a big advocate for learning from mistakes or things that didn't go as planned. We learn far more from those experiences than we do when things go smoothly and as planned. So I'm totally okay with that. But yes, there are many of my artwork that hangs on people's walls and in other people's homes for them to share and enjoy. So, what advice do I have for you around helping you figure out if you're ready to sell your art? Well, let's get into it. Okay, first up, let's go back to the idea of confidence. So, one of the clearest indicators that you're ready to sell your art is feeling a growing sense of confidence in your art. When you look at those finished art pieces, are you excited to maybe share it with someone and have them enjoy the piece with you? Have you reached that point where you're feeling a little bit more proud of what you're creating? Does that confidence mean perfection? No. Does it mean that you still maybe have some area of growth? Of course. But it also can make you feel like there's a bit of value in what you're producing. So maybe there are pieces that you're thrilled with that you wouldn't want to part with. That's how I like to figure out if a piece is, if I'm feeling confident about a piece and I'm wanting to share it and possibly sell it. If those pieces feel a little bit more precious to you, then that's a good indication that that's a piece someone else will connect with and want to buy and own and collect from you. So maybe if you've received positive feedback from friends and family as well, or fellow artists, and you're feeling that sense of accomplishment, that can be an indication that it's time to take the next step. Okay. Next indication can be around looking at your body of work or what I like to consider your portfolio. So, as you're starting to create art and you're collecting it, maybe you're using what I like to recommend in my classes, just the clear folders to protect them, especially if you're working with watercolor, which, if you're listening to this podcast, I'm sure you are. Just being a fellow watercolor artist. But if you are starting to gather some work and your drawers are being filled up with some work, and maybe your walls in where you paint are being filled with some artwork, and that's a portfolio. And is it a body of work where you can see a progression or maybe indicators of work that goes together? So, a portfolio is essential when selling art. You want to have a range or a body of work that you can offer and sell. But also, it'll be a nice range of showcasing your style and maybe color palettes that you're drawn to, and even imagery that you're drawn to. A body of work that starts to share your artistic voice. And looking at that body of work, you can start to see a bit of a story that you can tell through what's inspired you, what you've created, and what you can even share. So that portfolio reflects your best work and demonstrates that you've been consistent in your art practice and that you have work that you can offer, because sometimes a buyer will come back and want to be a collector of yours and purchase more of your artwork. So having a really strong portfolio or a body of work can help with that. Okay, so this one may resonate with you. It may not, but maybe you're starting to see other artists selling their work and having a creative or an art business that they're working on because their artwork is selling so much. And maybe they're doing other things, not just selling original art, but they're selling prints or greeting cards and things like that. then maybe you're starting to think about becoming an entrepreneur yourself. And you're thinking about the logistics of how would you handle the business side of selling your art? Can you offer shipping? Can you start to look at how you would ship your artwork? What does that experience look like for your collector? Maybe you're starting to look at gallery shows and maybe joining your own art groups. Things like setting prices, managing the sale of your artwork, and understanding what that process looks like can often mean that you are ready to start really focusing a little bit more seriously on the selling part of your art practice and even flirting with the idea of starting your own art based business. That's really exciting. And if that is sort of resonating with you, I'm even more excited for you because there is a whole big world of art collectors that you can reach via the internet and just the technology we have available to us. I always say to new artists, there has never been a better time to be a thriving artist who can sell artwork and create a full time living from selling art. There's so many different ways you can make money from selling your art that if this is speaking to you, then I'm so excited for you. But it is crucial to have a plan for how you'll share your artwork, the messaging around it, how you're going to offer it in terms of shipping and packaging and all of those things. So, something to start researching and thinking about for sure. Okay. The last thing I will mention if you are thinking about is my artwork ready or am I ready to share and sell my artwork? I want you to think about what I mentioned at the beginning of the episode, and that's mindset. Are you ready to handle feedback, whether it's positive or negative, from people who are experiencing your art? Are you ready to open yourself up to being critiqued and having different people give you different opinions on your artwork? And it's all subjective. So when you're opening yourself up to those critiques, really think about how art is subjective. There are so many different factors that come into whether someone connects with an art piece. Are they connecting to it because there's an emotional connection? Do they have a memory surrounding what you're portraying? Are there colors that you use that suit their taste? What type of experience do they have themselves as artists or maybe in a different creative field? And how much do they themselves value something that is handmade? So often I would like to offer the advice that do not take anything personally. And sometimes that's hard to do, especially when we think that this piece of art that we created really is a result of our talent at the time, our mood and energy at the time, what our ultimate goal is. So there's a lot of our own factors that get placed on an art piece that we've just created. And that isn't the last piece of art that you'll create. It really is just a blip in your journey and in your story. So it's really important to work on the inner part of being an artist and deciding if you're ready to start selling and sharing your art. Pairing for this aspect of the journey is an amazing opportunity for some personal growth and even checking in with yourself to see what you need to work on, not only in your art practice, but again, in the way that you view making art and sharing that art. I have to say, we're really lucky as artists to be able to create something beautiful by hand and offer it to someone who maybe has never picked up a paintbrush in their life or can't even fathom the idea of making something from scratch. We take for granted when we see a finished piece of art and sometimes look at it and think, oh, I can do that, or oh, that looks easy. But when it comes to being an artist, being able to conceptualize an idea, to be able to visualize something that you want to create, and then to sit down and do it is huge. Don't let anyone take that away from you. So share your artwork if you're feeling like you're ready, even if you're scared, even if it's not perfect. You will be amazed at how much positivity you get from other people experiencing your art. And if you're nodding along to some of these points and you're feeling a little bit of excitement, you might just be ready to start selling your art. So remember, there is no one size fits all journey or answer. And there isn't one person that you have to look to say, yes, you're ready to sell your art. Every artist journey is different and unique, and only you can decide if you are ready to sell your art. Everything else that comes afterwards, I can help you with and guide you a little bit. But truly, you have to just trust your instincts. Be prepared to learn because sometimes things will go well and sometimes they won't go as planned, and that's okay. Just embrace the adventure of sharing your creativity and art with the world and see what happens. You can always adjust and pivot and learn as you go. Okay, before I leave you, if you are saying yes to any of these points and you are feeling nudged to sell your art after listening to this episode, please let me know and let me know what questions you have. Go ahead and ask in the comments, send me an email, give me some feedback, and I will help share more as we continue to create new episodes of Life I Design, the podcast. Okay, so thank you for joining me on this episode. If you found this discussion helpful, again, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with fellow artists who might also benefit from it. For more tips and inspiration, please follow me on Instagram. That's where I'm most active. It's at Life I Design. And visit lifeidesign.com. Make sure to subscribe to our newsletter so you get first dibs on all of the great things that I've been sharing with our subscribers first. If you're looking to work on your watercolor and art skills so you can start enjoying selling your paintings, maybe even clearing out your studio space and making some extra money to buy more art supplies, whatever your goal is. Think about taking one of my online classes or checking out my new book, Watercolor Made Simple, and those are all available on lifeidesign.com. So until next time, keep designing the life you love, and remember, your art has the power to inspire and connect. I'll see you in the next episode.